everybody, welcome to Smashing Patriarchy. I'm your hostess, Michi Main. By smashing, I mean deconstructing. Patriarchy is a social construct and it can be deconstructed. What I mean to say is it can be picked apart piece by piece. It can be critically analyzed. We're going to do that in this series, Smashing Patriarchy. We are going to expose its possibly hidden functions, its assumptions, its contradictions, in order to subvert its apparent rationality. Let's get smashing.
Patriarchy? Excuse me?
I compared several definitions from the internet and different institutions, and I found that Wikipedia's definition seemed to be the most accurate and comprehensive. It says, patriarchy. It is a social system in which men hold primary power and predominate in roles of political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, and economic control. It is marked by the supremacy of the father in the clan or the family, meaning that property and title are inherited by the male lineage, and that's been customary in the dominant culture here in the United States. Patrilineal, meaning also keeping women dependent upon their male relatives or husbands and identifying with the father rather than the mother's family. Here in the United States, still today, most children take their father's names. So, patriarchy is a social system. What is a social system, you ask? It is the organization and definition of groups that depend on various shared characteristics such as location, socioeconomic status, race, religion, societal functions, or other distinguishing features. An individual may belong to multiple social systems at once. So, examples of patriarchal social systems then may include a nuclear family unit, in which the people believe that the father is the head of the household and that he should make, and only he should make, the most important family decisions. Other patriarchal social systems may include a community like a frat house that promotes exploitation of college girls.
Excuse me?
Another example of a patriarchal social system could be a city or a state or any other governmental entity where the laws reflect a subjugation and inequality of women and where women do not have access to power. Another example could be a church where they believe that God set up a patriarchal system and that men are the heads of the household and that women were put on this earth to serve and help men. Another example could be a corporation where there is a culture of sexual harassment, where you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement and not talk about the harassment, or where you have to put up with sex in order to get a promotion, where there is not gender equality for opportunity, and where there is also not equal pay. Another example could be a police station or a sheriff's office where the officers regularly dismiss women's reports about violence towards them perpetrated by men, and where the police tend to believe the men and not the women equally. There are many, many, many examples. Schools, households, churches, hospitals, any kind of agency, any kind of social system, any kind of group where you have an organization, there could be inequality towards women there. So patriarchy, as defined, is a social system of inequality in which men hold primary power and predominate in roles of political leadership. Here's one case where that could be true. Mike Pence posted this picture of a White House meeting that was broadly about the American Health Care Act. The Republicans' bill was meant to repeal and replace Obamacare, but it was focused on whether the bill should include, this meeting was focused on whether the bill should include a repeal under the Affordable Care Act of 10 essential health benefits that insurers in the individual marketplace must cover. So among these benefits that these men are deciding on is pregnancy benefits, maternity benefits, and newborn care. Do you see any women represented here? Here's another example that demonstrates that men hold the political authority in the United States. There are 79 countries who have had women as political leaders, and the United States is not among them. Here's another example where men predominate in roles of political authority over women's lives and to the misbenefit or to the disadvantage of women. So here's Dr. Christine Blasey Ford at Brett Kavanaugh's Judicial Committee hearing where they are listening to her testimony about his actions as a youth. So this guy acted, she's saying he acted very inappropriately with her, and there's a bunch of other guys up there to decide, oh, we're not even going to investigate it. Patriarchy, system of social equality in which men hold primary power and predominate in roles of moral authority, social privilege, and control of property. Moral authority, what's that? What's that, you ask? Moral authority is the capacity to convince others how the world should be, as opposed to the epistemic authority, which is the capacity to convince others of how the world is. Honey, that's why we're here today.
Epistemic? Those are some big words, Missy.
So moral authority is also fundamental assumptions that guide our perceptions of the world and are considered normative for behavior, such as men have always been the boss and will always be the boss. We've always been in a patriarchy, and that it will always continue. That's taken for granted, and it's not even really true. And patriarchy is really rather recent. Only really within the last 5,000 years, and only within the last 500 years in North America. And so consider patriarchy didn't even get to some of the tribes until, or even, it didn't really seep into most of the tribes until about, or the First Nations here, until about 150 years ago. So patriarchy is very new, and matriarchy, a system of equality, is very much in the memory of our grandmothers. The stories that they heard from their grandmothers. One of the myths perpetuated by the moral authority is that patriarchy... Okay, another myth that is perpetuated by the moral authority and that is considered the norm is that women have already achieved equality. Hey, patriarchy. We're still defining it, folks. Patriarchy, system of social inequality in which men hold primary power and predominate in roles of political leadership, moral authority, and social privilege. What is social privilege? Glad you asked. In anthropology, social privilege is a special right, advantage, or immunity granted or available only to a particular person or group. In sociology, it's considered to also include the perceived rights or advantages that are assumed to be available only to a particular person or group of people. And that could, which has led to another newer usage of the term, to include privilege as also being emotional or psychological regarding comfort and personal self-confidence, or having a sense of belonging or worth in society. You know, if a woman was raised to believe that she wasn't as equal as a man or as capable as a man, she's not going to feel like she has a sense of worth in society if the profession that she chooses undervalues women, or she doesn't think she could do it because she was trained not to believe that she could do it. Okay, entitlement. So with social privilege comes entitlement, a sense of entitlement. Ladies, you've experienced this. What's entitlement, you ask? Entitlement is the long-standing and unquestioned nature of such patriarchal systems, reinforced over generations, and tends to make privilege invisible to holders. It can lead males who benefit from such privilege to ascribe their special status to their own individual merits and achievements, rather than an unearned advantage. So they think they got that promotion because they were better than the other person. Well, if the other candidate was a female, they may have gotten that promotion because they're a male. So another example of male privilege is the ideas that boys will be boys and they're just going to grab you and that's just the way they are. Naturally, they cannot control themselves, so it's just up to you to tolerate it.
Now that is really messed up.
Sociologists say that male privilege is deeply linked to the oppression of women. They describe men's oppressive behaviors as cultural traits learned within patriarchal social systems rather than naturally inborn biological traits. And lastly, patriarchy, the social system of inequality in which men hold primary power and predominate in roles of political leadership, moral authority, social privilege, and control of property. Additionally, males hold the majority of corporate board seats, executive positions, and they dominate the financial markets on Wall Street. Their ability to earn 21% more for performing the exact same tasks as women, and their enjoyment of a higher rate of hiring and promotion all give males economic power over women. So there's the wage gap and then there's the opportunity gap. Of course, women make only 79 cents for every dollar that a man earns for performing the exact same task. And women also face structural barriers that prevent them from advancing in the workplace, so are less likely to hold high-level, high-paying jobs. And one of those things is sexual harassment. Check this out. 94 to 99% of all domestic survivors report that economic abuse is the main reason why they choose to stay in that relationship, or why they feel that they have to stay in that relationship. The fact that there's not enough social support for women to escape these relationships, the fact that they don't think that, they'll earn enough money, they'll get enough job opportunity, makes them feel like they can't leave and that they have to stay in an abusive relationship.
Now that is really messed up.
It was great to get epistemic with you, and in the next coming weeks I hope to share more with you. So please join me again soon. Get to smashing. And also, if you want to help me keep making more of these videos and contribute to my legal fund, which I'd really appreciate, at paypal.me/themaingirl. Smash the Patriarchy and follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Patreon. Donate to the main girl at paypal.me. Let's get out.